embedded finance and super apps. Some fantastic conversations going on. I'm delighted that I've been able to grab Sergiu Negut, who is actually one of the co-founders of FintechOS, to join me for a quick chat. So thank you so much, Sergiu, for making this.
Thank you for the invitation.
Now, I know that you've told me I can ask you anything I want, but I'm going to ask you to tell me a little bit about you and what you do at FintechOS.
Well, FintechOS was this amazing idea at some point of how we could actually rethink the way financial software is being built. So we started, like every startup with a dream, and that dream was not very far behind us. It's like less than 5 years. It's like 4 years and a half when we started the firm. And it was about, I think the traditional way software is being built, where you're looking at front-end solution, digital engagement, you're looking at very simple automation and orchestration software that is very generic. You're looking at core systems, and everybody wants to build the core systems for the future. And then you're looking at very siloed solutions. This is wealth, this is insurance, this is buy now, pay later. But the reality of human lives is a lot more complex. And the reality of our interaction with the finance is a lot more complex if you think of it. So why not create that solution technologically that can build all of that in a pre-existing infrastructure or outside of it for new players, and do it with a much higher productivity. So this was the thinking behind high productivity finance infrastructure builder, which FintechOS is.
Great, so you've set the scene really well for us. Let's talk a little bit more about embedded finance, right? So you talked about consumers and their whole financial lives. How does embedded finance, what are some of the opportunities? How does it enable businesses of all types, really, to deliver better outcomes for their consumers, their clients, their businesses, their communities?
Well, I'm a big believer in buy now, pay later. And I'm a big believer in buy now, pay later, well, because if you want, funny enough, it's been here for like 50 years in the various shapes or forms. But the current shape or form is really democratizing access to finance for a lot more people out there and for a lot more businesses out there. So if you're a normal business, if you're a merchant, you can suddenly partner with somebody that has a banking license somewhere, and therefore you're able to provide that loan, the BNPL, to your customers. If you're a very small bank or a large bank and you have some merchants that you want to work with, you're able to embed that solution in everything that you're providing, and suddenly you give access to more consumers, or you keep some of your consumers a lot happier because you're able to provide something for them now, when exactly when they need it, at the point of sale, at the moment when they need it. And this is actually not about embedding necessarily finance into a non-finance world, but it is about embedding a loan into the people's lives, the way the people's lives is lived. And I think this is something that is new, and it's only the more recent technologies that provide for that. Now, there is another layer of this BNPL flexibility that we, as FintechOS, believe we can provide for. And this is, if you want, the full flexibility, configurability of it. Traditionally, companies, when they are buying software in the financial universe, they have this hard choice between build or buy. So you can either build, and then it takes millions and millions and hundreds of programmers to build anything that is, stable enough and enterprise enough and large enough and strong enough. Or you can buy, and then you are subject to whatever is available on the market, one of the big providers of software who would always charge significant amounts for all the versions and all the tiny changes and improvements that you need. How about you have some skeleton solutions that are there in the market that are already pre-built, and you have the full power of no-code and other high productivity infrastructure solutions in order to bridge that gap and build it the way you want it while you have purchased most of it. So it's a build and buy strongly embedded that allows that embedding into an existing infrastructure. Whether that infrastructure is the infrastructure of a bank or the infrastructure of a merchant, if we're talking BNPL precisely.
So you've raised raised some really interesting points there. I really like the way you position that as humanizing finance for the end user. But you also talked about this build versus buy, not conundrum, but option. I know that you're moderating a session later on partnerships, and clearly partnerships plays an important role in this ecosystem where you have financial providers, non-financial enterprises, technology innovators. Can you talk to us a little bit more about the role of partnerships in this growing ecosystem?
Look, I think every company, not every bank, not every company in this universe that has a decently large number of consumers already deals with a whole bunch of software, different versions. All their infrastructure is built in pieces of puzzle. Sometimes that puzzle is very coherent, sometimes it's a sort of Frankenstein, and it moves awkwardly. So I think there is a time, and there is a time now, to rethink the way the partnerships are done, and especially to rethink the way the technology partnerships are done. Because, hey, we may consume our finances from very different sources. It can be from your insurer, it can be from your retailer, it can be from your provider of utilities, it may be from your telecom provider, it can be from your bank, of course. And hey, by the way, we all work with several banks for different use cases. And this is us, the consumers. On the other hand, you have the providers of services, and they work with solutions for payment, they work for solutions for orchestration, they work with CRMs, they work with ERPs, they work with all those things. So there is a whole universe of multiple, if you want, characters in this play. And you have to have a screenplay that binds them together, and you have to have a plot that everybody can relate to, whether you're a consumer, whether you're a merchant, or otherwise a retailer, or you're a financial services provider in the original sense of the word, like finance infrastructure. And if you put these three things together, you realize that faster connectivity, better configurability, improve access to finance for everyone. And that is creating a better life. It is creating a better life because I don't have to, tremble in a corner thinking that I have to visit a banker to get a loan, and I don't know what's going to happen in that process. It smoothes out access to finance for people, and that's humanizing it. It creates the experience, even for experienced users, it smoothes the experience in a way that, hey, I do everything from my phone, yeah? Like everybody else does. And ideally, if I can do that from a super app, let's say, then that is amazing. Although the super app is just an interface for a multitude of providers that are well interconnected with each other, and that at the end of the day provide the consumers with the services they need. I wouldn't even call them financial services. The services, the experience that they need, the experience of buying a home, which is probably the most complex one, the experience of getting a small consumer loan, the experience of buying a TV set or a computer.
Yeah, you raised so many interesting points there, but can I just say I love the way that you put together the characters that make up the screenplay of embedded finance. So I look forward to hearing more from you and your colleagues throughout the day. There's some great content sessions lined up this afternoon. And thank you again for taking the time to join me.
Thank you so much. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
When you're in a setting like this and you're meeting tens of people that are extremely smart and they're all working on their own thing, what do you think unites them all?
I think it's this desire to deliver things better, right? So whether it's insurance solution, wealth management solution, I do think what is pulling them together is this interest, desire to deliver better outcomes for the economy, for individuals, for businesses.
We're onto something. I think we're building this together. Thank you.